Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and we're going to have a really, really busy show today, trying to catch up on the last couple of weeks, because those that follow here weekly, this past week, I put out the interview I did with Coach Brownsberger. We did the interview a little while back. You know, sometimes when I do these interviews of a season that ends, and then we get immediately into spring like we did, you know, basketball came to an abrupt close, especially on the boys' side, got done pretty early around here. So just trying to find a way to squeak it in or sneak it in wherever I could, and kind of just opened up to the fact that I had a really, really busy early of the past week. So I thought, hey, let's just go ahead and upload that, get it rolling, get it online. I appreciate all the kind comments. Everybody, a lot of people enjoyed it. It's always a good time when you get to talk to coaches. I know parents and fans, things like that, really enjoy it, because you don't hear from high school coaches as much as you do like a college coach or NFL coach. Those guys are doing press conferences like every day of the week. So that's one thing I really enjoy about this, getting to hear from those people that you see on the sidelines, or even the people that, they communicate with you if you're a parent and things like that. They're coaching your kid, but, you don't get to see them kind of open up, really get into what's going on in their mind about things. And as always, shout out to Coach Brownsberger. There's nobody, he's maybe one of my favorite people I've got to know doing this. Really easy to talk to. Him and I can sit in a room and talk about basketball for days and days, but we try to limit ourselves when we get on camera here to, a little hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So anyway, we got that out. I appreciate, like I said, the positive feedback from it, and so we'll have more out there. We'll get some more interviews going with coaches, things like that, in the near future. But in the meantime, I'm recording this on Monday, April 20th. So, we're at the end of April. That means we're closing in on May. That means we're closing in on the end of the school year, which means we don't have a lot of time left. We don't, senior parents and players and athletes, whatever, cover your ears, but not a lot of days left here in this year. So, we're in the heart of spring sports right now, baseball, track, everything. People are really ramping up, playing well. This area is performing at a really high level across, every discipline right now. So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start way back. Like I said, we're going to try to cover the last 2 weeks. I'll be detailed when I can, but I'm going to try to kind of keep it moving here and take a little bit of a look around the area as far as different sports go. So we will start with baseball a couple weeks ago and kind of just run through it. So Monday, April 6th, Notre Dame got a win over Campbell 7-6. That was a late add game. They added that game a couple days before it came to fruition. So Notre Dame got the win there, 7-6. So look, right now on the Misha website, it looks like everything is in there. Notre Dame's 11-8. They're playing pretty well. It is kind of up and down results at times, but they're beating the teams that they should beat. They're competitive against really good teams, but maybe not always getting over the hump. They did have a big win recently we'll talk about, but they're playing well. Like I said, they're beating teams they should. It's just whenever they step up and play a team maybe on their level or a little bit better, things don't always go their way, but they're going to have a lot of games coming up here at the end of the month. I'm looking at the schedule, 6 games. The last 6 games in 8 days to close out April. And then we get right into SEMO Conference. And, around here, SEMO Conference, if you perform well there, it can really change a lot of people's perception of your season. So it can be important for them to get hot going into that. And immediately, like I said, they took out Jackson. The big local rivalries are always fun. Last year, Cape, Notre Dame, they got the better of the Indians, beat them for the first time in several years in both cases. Not to be this year. Jackson defeated Notre Dame 5-1. Dawson F-Tink, I'm going to talk about a lot when I talk about these, when I talk about the results here for the Indians. He's having a heck of a season. They're usually, I think, hitting out the 2 spot for the Indians. He had a couple of doubles in this game, 2 RBIs, and then the man on the mound. You always expect to pitch well, especially in big games. Drew Parson, he goes 5 innings, gave up only 2 hits, 9 Ks, only walked 3 guys. So a big, big day on the mound for Drew Parsons, like I said, you've come to expect at this point. He is the guy for the Indians when they need a big time pitcher. They put him on the mound and he performs. Cape Central, they got a shutout. Cape Central playing pretty well right now. Another year of turnover at the coaching position there. They're 9-7. They've played a tough schedule. I'll talk about the big trip they made up to Central Missouri, played some really tough teams. But they look really, really competitive. It's a similar thing to Notre Dame. They're beating a lot of the teams you kind of expect them to beat, and then maybe struggle a little bit whenever they take a step up in class. But they've got a lot going on here. They have a big wood bat tournament coming up, so they've got a lot of ball games. Notre Dame, they don't have a lot after SEMO Conference. Cape, they play SEMO Conference early May, and they still have 8 regular season games after that. So they've got a very busy season. There's a lot of time for them to get things rolling the right direction. So they get a shutout win over Windsor 4-0. Saxony, another team playing pretty well, in my opinion, right now. The Crusaders, I talk about it a lot when I talk about their baseball team. It's a lot of feast or famine at times offensively for them. They put up some crazy big numbers and wins. Just looking at this, they have 15, 18, 10, 17, 11, 15 run games this season already. They're 9-2. They've lost to 2 very, very good teams. And so they're in a really, really good spot. I like where they're at. They've been putting up nice stats. And one of those guys who's been playing really well is Zach Roth. In this ball game, 4-run win over St. Vincent. He went 3 for 4, had a home run, 3 RBIs. Then, like I mentioned about the Tigers, Cape Central played Seckman. Seckman, pretty good team. You start looking at some of the scouting websites, things like that. They've got a lot of guys people are high on. So they go up there, they lose. They go up there and they lose 2-0 to Seckman. Not a bad loss per se, but a game that was winnable for the Tigers. However, unable to get much going offensively. Speaking of that, Notre Dame did the inverse there. They beat Dexter in a conference game, also, I believe, a district game, in which really has put Notre Dame in a very advantageous spot in their district. They beat Dexter 3-0. Shout out to Houston Crawford pitching in that one. He goes 7 innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts. And then right back at it, Saxony, I mentioned, 11-0 win over Charleston. Always nice. Charleston is they've had a lot of good teams over the years. And the Crusaders putting up big number again, winning that one 11-0. And speaking of big numbers, the Indians, they took on a good North County team, a North County team that's posed some trouble for teams around this area this season. 15-2, blew them out. Dawson Eftink again, 3 for 4, 2 doubles, 4 RBIs. Matt Carter, who's been hitting really, really well at the top of the order for Jackson this season. He's looked like a really different player, and I've been impressed at the development from even just this past year to his senior season. He went 3 for 4 with a triple, 3 RBIs. Adler Flynn hit a homer, 3 RBIs there for him. He also walked a couple times. So the Indians do a great job. They get on base. They got guys that can hit for power, and they're playing really well. I mean, the most recent update in the Missouri High School Baseball Coaches Association rankings, whatever it might be, they're number 2 right now in Class 6. So they are one of the best teams in the state. And I mentioned Cape Central. They go up to Central Missouri. They take on 4 tough opponents. They go 1-3 there. The one win they did get was against Jeff City. They beat them 10-9. They lost to a really good St. Elizabeth team. But the early part of the doubleheader, they beat Jeff City 10-9. Hayden Bowers, the big name there, 4 for 6, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs for Bowers. And coming back down here around southeast Missouri, Notre Dame did lose to Farmington. Once again, Farmington, a pretty good team this year. They've looked really, really tough. They've made things difficult for a lot of teams, especially in this area as well. But Notre Dame, I believe, sitting rather pretty right now. I think they're undefeated in their district. Farmington not in their district. So a nice spot right now for the Bulldogs, but they do lose that one 3-1. In Jackson, I mentioned it, they blew out North County. They went on the road, played a doubleheader against Lutheran St. Charles, won by a combined score of 19-0. So the Indians just taking care of business once again. Nolan Roach had a grand slam in the first game of the doubleheader. 6 RBIs in that game. 6 of the 10 runs scored were thanks to Mr. Roach. And then Dawson Eftink once again. In the second game, where Jackson won 9-0, Eftink went 2 for 3. Those 2 were home runs. So Dawson is hitting at a very, very high level, 3 RBIs. Another one of those losses In Central Missouri that I mentioned earlier, Cape Central goes 1-3. They lose to Lee Summit. Lee Summit is a very, very, very good team, but they do get drubbed 13-2, unfortunately, by Lee's Summit. So we'll now jump in. You know what? We'll keep it moving. We'll stay with baseball, catch us up to the present day. We'll just go sport by sport doing it like that. You know, I originally had this mapped out where I was theoretically going to do an episode this past week, but keeping it moving with baseball, getting closer to the present day. This past week, Notre Dame takes on Marion, Illinois, a Marion, Illinois team that, you know, as I'm recording, you guys know what the final outcome of that one is. A team that's given Jackson a run for their money might knock off the Indians. So a tough Marion team. Notre Dame blows them out. 14-3. TJ Bolin, 3 for 3. He walked twice, had an RBI in the ball game. He's really, really solid there for that Bulldogs team on the mound and in the batter's box. Having a great season. I mean, it's what you expect. He was a stud last season, and he just continued to grow, continued to press his game forward and keep leading that Bulldogs team. And I mentioned it earlier, Saxony, all they do is score runs, 15-0 over Ellington. Then on Tuesday this past week, the 14th, we had a couple big local rivalries. So 3 really good games, by the way. 3 games that were fantastic baseball games. You had the, Exit 99 Sports matchup here between Cape and Jackson. Obviously, you can say it in every sport. Hey, these kids know each other very well. They see each other all the time since they were 5 in T-ball until now. These kids have been playing each other, and Cape knocked off the Indians last season in the regular season. Then Jackson got Cape, I want to say, in a walk-off in the conference championship game. And then we had another tight one. Jackson defeated Cape Central 4-3. They won via walk-off, thanks to Keegan Bregman. Bregman, a guy we talked about a lot in football season, also a really, really good baseball player as well. He had a single to drive in the game winner. Jackson actually went up 2-0 in the first inning after an F-Tink triple. Cale Crowley had a single then to score F-Tink, put him up 2-0. Then we just went dark after that. Went 4 innings, no runs, until Jathan Spain, who, another big-time baseball player, big-time athlete in everything he does. He had a 2 RBI triple, and then Hayden Bowers came in, got an RBI ground out to even things up, and then, to put the Tigers ahead 3-2. And then in the bottom of the 7th, like I mentioned, Adler Flynn double, Keegan Bregman drove him in to tie or to win the ball game there 4-3. 4-3, nice walk-off win there by the Indians, rivalry game. Let me make sure let me read this out to you a little bit more clearly. Yeah, so Jackson had 2 in the first, Cape had 3 in the top of the 6th, go up 3-2, and then Jackson scored 2 runs in the 7th inning. So the Indians get the victory, defeating the Tigers. I know it was a well-played game, especially by Chapman Ogles there. Got the start. Pitched really, really well. I mean, he gave up those 2 early runs, and after that, held that Indians lineup down for most all the ball game. But unfortunately, there at the very end, the dam kind of broke, and the Indians were able to come away with the walk-off win. Across town at Notre Dame, I believe, it was at Notre Dame because I wrote down. They defeated Poplar Bluff 5-4 in 8 innings. That's notable. Well, it's a win. It's a conference win. Always a good time to beat Poplar Bluff. And it was the first home win against Poplar Bluff for Notre Dame since 2012, which really felt crazy to say. I mean, Notre Dame has been, they've had some really good teams in that time period. Obviously, Poplar Bluff has had some really, really tough teams as well. But, I mean, still, the first time they beat Bluff at home, I mean, it only happens probably every other year they get them at home. But nonetheless, first time beating the Mules since 2012 at Notre Dame. Also, in that one, it was a walk-off win for the Bulldogs. TJ Bolin had the walk-off hit for Notre Dame. So shout out to Bolin. I mentioned him earlier. Kid's playing well. And then Saxony, they had a really tough game, a big-time small school matchup against East Carter. East Carter is one of those places a little far away, a little out of the area, out west. always really, really good at baseball. They've had some good basketball teams, but baseball is kind of their sport in that area. And Saxony comes up with a 1-0 win. Not a lot of offense, great pitching by the Crusaders. Zach Roth, Eli Radaman, they combined to go 7 innings, only gave up 4 hits. They struck out 12 Redbirds, I believe, East Cardinals, Redbirds. Eli Radman, by the way, who, closed out the game for Saxony. He helped himself out. He had the 1 RBI in the game in the top of the 6th to give himself that win. Yeah, I mentioned it. Only 3 hits I wrote down for Saxony. They walked 1 time, but got it done. Beat a very, very good East Carter team, so shout out to Saxony. Keeping the winning going. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same occurred there for Notre Dame. They pick up a big emotional win over Poplar Bluff, and then things kind of went south. They lose 11-0 against Valley. Valley, I made the joke to one of the Notre Dame coaches that I know. I said, you guys just ran into a buzzsaw of kids last name Baszler and Fallert and Viox, all these names you see just about every single year graduating from Valley Catholic the last 40 years. Just that's what they do, man. They just keep churning out athletes, baseball, football, some good basketball, really good volleyball. That's what they do up there, man. They're just a sports powerhouse. They're good at everything. Little school, and they just blew by Notre Dame 11-0. Then Saxony, the drama did not stop. They get the Tuesday win 1-0 over East Carter. They come back Wednesday. They beat a solid Kelly team 3-1 in 8 innings. So a big extra innings win for the Crusaders there over Kelly, continuing the winning ways. I mentioned they're 9-2 right now, playing really, really good ball. Then Jackson went on the road. They also were up, I want to say it was in Columbia. They had a tough stretch. It was a big, basically, meeting of some of the best teams in the entire state. Jackson faced off against Eureka, who's top 10, Nixa, who's top 10, Rockbridge, I believe, is top 10, and Hickman. And the Indians come out of there 2-2 on the weekend. They played Eureka first. They had a doubleheader of sorts. They played Eureka and Nixa in the same day. They beat Eureka 8-4, thanks in large part. On the mound, you had Drew Parsons. He went 5 innings, had 12 strikeouts, only gave up 3 hits, but 2 earned runs. However, the Indians' offense did more than enough, put up 8. Got the win for Jackson there, but came back, kind of got steamrolled against Nixa, man. Nixa's got some dudes. The McKnight kid, who's good at every single sport he plays. They've got some kids going D1. Nixa got the big win, 14-5. I think their starting pitcher. Okay, hold on, let me think about this. Their starting pitcher is going to TCU that was playing in this ball game. So, tough stuff. Jackson still put up 5 runs. Not a bad loss. Obviously, the little lopsided, but team he lost to is very, very, very talented. Then they come back Friday. They take on the host in Rockbridge, blow out Rockbridge. Really good Rockbridge team. Like I said, I think they're somewhere around the bottom end of the top 10 in Class 6. Doesn't matter. Indians beat them 14-2. I mentioned him earlier, man. Matt Carter playing so well. 2 home runs in this ball game. Carter Shipman got the start, gave up 5 hits, but struck out 7 in 5 innings. Didn't give up any runs. Really, really good day at the office there for Carter. And then the Indians closed out. They lost, I believe, in what was the tournament, like semifinals, to Hickman. A little bit of a surprise. Hickman, the worst team technically by record that Jackson saw in this entire stretch, but Hickman gets the win 7-6 over the Indians. Grant Brown went yard there, had a home run. Dawson Eftink, once again, I mentioned his name over and over again. He goes 3 for 4. He had 2 RBIs, but just not enough. Indians just could not get enough outs there. Give up 7 runs. Only put up 6. I mentioned Valley a little bit ago. They had a big win over Notre Dame. Well, they stayed local here. Played Saxony. Saxony just let it slip out of their hands, man. They had Valley on the ropes, but Valley put up 2 in the bottom of the 7th for a walk-off 4-3 win over the Crusaders. It was a tough way to go out, but Valley is what they are what they are, man. They're really, really talented. And then the final game this past week, I want to talk about Cape Central took on Dexter in another SEMO Conference game. Cape won the low-scoring football game, 14-7, really high-scoring baseball, over the Bearcats. It's a name you say a lot when you talk about the Tigers. Jathan Spain, he goes 2 for 5. He had 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in the game, and Zaid Hickey, he had 3 RBIs to account for 9 of the Tigers' 14 runs there in that victory. So we can move over now to girls soccer, where we had a really, really busy couple of weeks. You know, the Jackson Indians, who had a little bit of a rough patch early in the season. They dropped a couple of games that might have been, dropped maybe a game that might have been a surprise to some people, but they've acquitted themselves. They've been playing some really, really tough competition. You know, I think I mentioned it the last time you saw me. I talked about the game at least. It was happening while I was recording, I'm pretty sure. Jackson lost to Lindbergh 3-2 up there on the road. Rachel Berger, Bryn Banderman scored, but Jackson gave up a goal on a free kick with about 5 minutes left in the game. Some people said it was a questionable handball. In fairness, I was watching it from about half mile away on the live stream, so I can't complain too much. Cape Central, they lose to Perryville 7-3. Notre Dame kind of getting things going the right direction before they run into Jackson as they win 4-0 over Carbondale. And speaking of Jackson, Notre Dame, big matchup there. It was streamed, I believe, by A-Corp Sports. So shout out to A-Corp dipping their toe into girls soccer. So that was cool to see. I went back and watched that ball game. And Jackson just dominated. They won 6-0. 6 different players scored. Bryn Banderman, Emma Larson, Tinsley Murley, Addison Crooks, Adeline Abernathy, and Rachel Berger. 6 different players scored 6 goals for the Indians. I mean, they had possession. And I'm going to say that again. They beat Farmington 2 nights later, 8-0 in that one. Adeline Abernathy with a hat trick. She had 3. Bryn Banderman with the brace had 2. And then Chloe Abernathy, Tinsley Murley, and Emma Larson each had a goal apiece. So, I mean, 14-0, those 2 games against local competition. I mean, combining both games, I want to say Jackson had possession 90% of the ball game. I mean, it's been a minute now since I watched both games, but it doesn't, like, thinking back, I don't remember, Notre Dame or Farmington really having many shots on goal, like maybe 2, maybe 3 combined shots on goal. That might even be over-exaggerating. It was Jackson right now in the area continues to be just head and shoulders right now a little bit. Better than most teams. Obviously, one omission for Notre Dame. Maya Thibault was out injured. I believe she's now back and healthy, so good to see her back out there. She's a stud, so that would have, helped things out a little bit up front for the Bulldogs, but Jackson, big wins. And then Saxony did lose in overtime to Sykeston. Really, really tough loss there for the Crusaders, trying to pick up a win over SEMO Conference team. Could not close it out. Cape Central, a little bit of a slow start this season. They lose 2-1 over Murfreesboro out of Illinois. The girls soccer team this year is struggling a little bit. They do have the 1 win on the season. In the next ball game they played, they were playing over in Illinois in a big showcase there. They lost to Murfreesboro, I mentioned, but then they did pick up a win. They got their first win of the season, knocked off Alton, Illinois. Nice win, 3-2. Put up some goals there, and Alton, pretty good sized place, so nice win over a pretty good squad there from Alton, Illinois. Unable to kind of keep the momentum going, though. They did go to Sykeston, losing on the road 3-0. And we're so close to picking up a good win. Festus is 8-1-1 on the season, but the Tigers come up just short, 1-0 against the Festus Tigers. So 1-7 start to the season. Obviously not what you want if you're Cape Central, but I'm optimistic. I hope those girls are able to kind of get things going in the right direction. I mentioned Saxony, on the Misha website right now that has them at 2-4. They had a local matchup as well. The 15th this past week, they took on Notre Dame over at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, though, kind of proved that, hey, we're not maybe up here with Jackson, but we are probably next up as far as SEMO Conference goes. In the area, they beat Saxony 4-1. there in that contest. Looking around, some more girls' games going on. This past week, the slate was, like I said, maybe a little bit light, but the Indians had a big road trip. Before I get there, Notre Dame lost. They took a lopsided 8-2 loss to St. Vincent. St. Vincent, really, really good team, but lose that one kind of big. Jackson, I mentioned, they go to Springfield, Missouri. They're playing in the Kickapoo Showcase. A gauntlet. I think I posted about it on Facebook. I shared a post, and I looked up beforehand the three teams they were playing. Kickapoo had a couple of losses on the season. Outside of that, they were playing Kickapoo, Glendale, and Nixa. And I know Glendale and Nixa had 0 losses on the season coming into that contest. So it was a really big prove it weekend for the Lady Indians. Here it is. They combined record of 23-3 going into the weekend. Glendale and Nixa, who are both 8-0, had only given up 1 goal apiece coming into the ball game. So Jackson really had their hands full, in my opinion. It was a bit of a mixed bag, right? I didn't know maybe what to expect going over there. Just in general, long road trip. You're going to be staying the night in hotels. You got a really young team. I mentioned these names over and over again. Bryn Banderman, Chloe Abernathy, Adeline Abernathy, I think Tinsley Murley, all freshmen, Addison Crooks, sophomore. You do have some really good upperclassmen leadership. Dawes, Sauerbrunn, Stelling, all these people. But nonetheless, who else? Klund, Larson. A lot of seniors, but also a lot of young girls they're counting on. So you never know how it's going to react. But, they more than acquitted themselves, man, over there. They played lights out over in Kickapoo. They knocked off the host Kickapoo 3-0. Addison Crooks had a couple goals there. Rachel Berger had one. And then Friday they took on Glendale. Glendale undefeated. Really, really good tradition, as a talented program year in and year out. Shout out my good friend Kendra Lears, former SEMO goalie legend over there. She's a Glendale grad. But Jackson went in and just dominated against Glendale. They controlled possession most of the game, won 5-0 over Glendale. 5 different players score again. This Jackson team has girls all over the field that are a threat. Josie Sauerbrunn, Emma Larson, Ashlyn Dawes, Tinsley Murley, Adeline Abernathy again. Got another one. 5 girls, 5 goals. And it set up a big one, man. Saturday against Nixa. Nixa's the real deal. They were coming into it. I found a rankings. I think it's a coach's poll. Nixa was, I believe, 3rd in the state in Class 4. Jackson coming into the weekend, by the way, was down at like 30-something because they had lost to Lindbergh. They lost to maybe not a very good Fort Zumwalt East team, 2-0. So I understand some of the results. It's a mixed bag. They beat some teams that are much lower than them in rankings, but they go over 8-0 through 2 games. They take on a really, really good Nixa team. They're playing it at Glendale, I believe. And man, they pushed it to the wire. Jackson had a lead, 1-0. They scored. I think it was Ashlyn Dawes scored in regulation. They held the lead. Really, really good play in goal. Really, really good defensively. Really cut down many opportunities for Nixa to equalize. But I want to say about 3 minutes left in the game, Nixa was able to get over the hump. They broke through. They scored to tie it up. And now, if memory serves, there was no overtime. It was just straight to PKs. Let's get it over with, I guess. Long weekend for everybody. So 1-1 at the end of regulation. Went to PKs. Jackson ends up on the wrong end of it. They lose 4-3 in PKs. Shout out to Ashlyn Dawes, who had the goal in regulation. Her, Rudy Klund, Addison Crooks all stepped up, made their PKs, but Jackson comes up 1 short, unable to get the win, 4-3. Really, really good play, though. You come out, you play 3 teams that are all, I want to say Kickapoo is somewhere around like top 15 or so. Glendale was, I believe, top 10 or right around 10 to 15. So, you play 3 of the top 15, 20 teams in the state. Over the weekend, you finish going, 9-1, or, you win the weekend 9-1, basically. So, I mean, a really, really good showing by the Indians. It gives them a lot of life, I think, going into the rest of the season. Now they've got some tough matchups. My thought is they can play with any public school in the state of Missouri. Unfortunately for them, they have the two best private schools in the state of Missouri in their district, and then also, another, I think, state champion private school that's moved up into their class this year in St. Joe's. So, take a break here, but, it's tough. They're going to play some really, really good teams. So, we'll get there when we get there. But I do love what I've seen out of them thus far. So, let's talk a little boys tennis, shall we? This area, by the way, across all sports, I keep talking about it. I mean, teams are playing really well in most things that I cover. I mean, every sport I talk about, but teams are playing really well. A lot of winning records across most sports. I mean, we'll get into it right now. Boys tennis, Notre Dame, 9-0 over Dexter. Cape, 9-0 over Farmington. Jackson, impressive win. They went and beat a good Poplar Bluff team, beat them 6-3 as a team. They won the doubles 2-1. Murley and Forrester, Essner and Ford both picked up wins there. You'll hear more about them in a second. And on the singles side, they won 4-2. Once again, Forrester, Essner, and then Aaron Halls, Christopher Garrett all step up to push Jackson ahead. And then in a local matchup, Jackson and Cape went head-to-head. Jackson, though, picks up their 5th straight team win over the Tigers. Maybe a little bit surprised when I saw that, but they win 7-2 there. Continuing on, I mentioned, why would we hear about these guys more? Well, we had the boys SEMO conference tournament in tennis, and some really, really good play by a lot of guys. But, once again, before you shoot the messenger, Jackson posts a lot of their stuff online. They have a school Facebook page that posts like every score. So I get a lot of their scores. I don't get a lot of everybody else's. So send me the scores. Send me results. You got results on anything? Tennis, boys volleyball. I don't care what it is. Send it to me. Jackson, though, wins the team conference championship, their first time in school history. So shout out to them, man. Big time accomplishment. Big time win for the Indians. Really, really cool stuff there. Shout out to Coach Adams and the former Coach Adams, Montana Capriola now. So shout out to both of them. Leading the way in singles, though Jackson did not win because Owen Blattle, a kid that I remember from my Sportsplex days, him and his brother Ty, Owen gets first in singles. He knocks off Warren Jones of Jackson in the championship. So Jones comes in second. Aaron Halls of Jackson comes in third. But Owen Blattle, your singles conference champion here in the SEMO conference. Over on the doubles side, Jackson did get the win there, though. Seth Murley, Braylon Forrester, they combine to pick up the gold medal. And then Mitchell Ford, Jeremy Essner do lose in the third place game, but still end up with fourth. So good showing there by the Indians. They pick up a conference championship. First one in school history is impressive. It's kind of surprising, but really, really impressive stuff there out of them. And so, like I said, shout out to Coach Adams and Montana. So we will move to boys volleyball. Once again, boys volleyball, there's some lows, but there's been some nice highs here early in the season for our boys volleyball teams. But we had a big-time matchup in boys volleyball, and by big time, I mean local matchups, and it was one-sided. Notre Dame 3-0 over Saxony. A little bit of a revenge game, as always. I mentioned it a few times. Saxony ended their season last year at Notre Dame in districts. Notre Dame, the 1 seed. Saxony comes out, beat them in 5. Not to be this year, 25-21, 26-24, 25-13. Bulldogs get the sweep. And then the Bulldogs keep it going. They sweep St. Mary's Southside. And we head into a big, very, very tough Althoff Catholic tournament where, both teams played well. Notre Dame, though, goes 4-1. Saxony going 2-3, but, competition they played really, really high level. Saxony, they lose 2-1 to the host Althoff Catholic, who is a monster in boys volleyball. They lose 2-1 to Edwardsville. They defeat Freeburg 2-1. They defeated Maryville Christian School 2-0, and then they end up losing to Belleville West 2-0. Over on the other side, Notre Dame. They defeated Collinsville 2-0, blew them out. Defeated Belleville West 2-1. It was 25-19, then 25-22 Belleville. And then Notre Dame closes out with a 15-9 win. They blow out Father McGivney 2-0. Sneak out a win over a good Missouri side, St. Dominic 2-0, 25-23, 25-19. And then in the championship game, they took on the host Althoff Catholic. So both teams around here got a shot at them. Both of them lose 2-1. Notre Dame 25-22, they lost the first set. They won the second, 25-20, but Althoff won set 3, 15-7. So good showing by both teams up there. Some really, really good volleyball being played. Notre Dame kept it going. They shut out Collinsville 2-0, but then on the second half of their day, they lose 2-1 to Belleville East. Those Belleville teams are tough over there on the other side of the river in Illinois. And then Bayless came to town and got curb stomped by Notre Dame and Saxony. Both of them 3-0 wins for our local teams. And then on Saturday, Saxony took on, or they went up to Northwest, playing the tournament there. Performed really, really well. I mean, they split with Fox in their first game, and then a lot of wins after that. They swept Marquette. They swept Borgia. They beat Afton 2-1, and then I believe in the championship they took on Lutheran South. Lutheran South, like I think I saw 20-2 on the season. Lutheran South did get the better of them, won that 2-0. So really, really good showings though in volleyball. Notre Dame and Saxony playing really well. So you know, I'm very encouraged by where they're at and kind of where they're heading here into the postseason. And now we're about to get into Caleb talking a lot about track and field, so forgive me ahead of time. Listen to some of these scores, though. Even if you're not, whatever, emotionally invested or invested in any way in track and field, listen to some of these results because, I mean, right now, this area is performing so well in track and field. Like, you know, I'm a big fan of track and field. I talk about it all the time. I tell people, like, go watch meets. You're going to have another opportunity soon. The SEMO Conference Championships are at Cape Central. Your boy might be on site, so go check out these kids, man. This area performing super well. A lot of kids at the very top of the state in their events. A lot of teams are going to be potentially pushing to, you know, be very high on the medal stand. Some teams are the favorites as a team to win in track and field, which is crazy for this area. This area is not known for track and field, but right now we've got some special athletes, so I'll shut up and tell you about it. I was at the Bob Sink Invitational. That is over at Jackson, commemorating, you know, former Jackson, former Cape Central coach Bob Sink. And we had some big-time performances. You had Barrett Reagan running the 100, which, you know, right now I'm catching you up, right? So some of these things might not be still accurate, but you'll figure out what I'm alluding to in a second. So Barrett gets first. He runs the number 3 time in state at the time, 10.61 100 meters, which was a PR. Hudson Dennis, though, a kid I'm super high on. I think I talk about him a lot on here. He runs 11.15. I mean, the speed is real. He competed in a really tough final. And I've been really impressed. He's a multi-sport athlete. He comes in second in the 200. He runs 22.68 as well. Just really good day for him. He's been super impressive. And the Notre Dame sprinters have been pretty solid here. They're gonna put up a pretty good fight in the 4x1, 4x2 once they get into state season. And then another Reagan, the younger Reagan, Blayne, he gets first place in the 400. I want to say that was his first. No, I believe that was his second 400 on the season. They wanted to really push, and he went out super hard. I mean, it's kind of the plan from what I've heard was he went out super hard the first 200 and just fought like heck the last 200. He goes 48-35. You know, shout out to Mr. Jerry Hitt. We talked about it there at the track. His grandson Blayne Reagan was dealing with some injuries early in the season, trying to round back into form. This 35 gives me a lot of encouragement. He's getting close back to those 47 times he finished the season with last year. Number 3 time in the state this season is 48.35. So he's running really, really well. But somebody in his house is running a little bit better. We'll keep talking about it. Then another name I wanted to mention, Maxim Mayhew at Saxony. I mean, he ran 51.08. It was a PR. He finished 3rd overall. But that put him at 4th in Class 2. I mean, Maxim he's become just super consistent at this point in the 400. He's running 51s very consistently. Now the question is, can he push that further, get down to 50, push to get sub 50 by the end of the season? We'll see. I mean, either way, there's a good chance he's in the state final in the 400. So, shout out to him. He's running really, really well. In the 800, a couple of nice performances. Carter Reese of Jackson PR'd 2 minutes, 0.34 seconds. Aiden Morris, 2 minutes, 0.55 seconds. Both PRs. Aiden Morris over at Notre Dame, killer cross-country runner. He's going to be nasty as he rounds into form as well late in this track season. And that, 2-minute run by him in the 8 is the number 2 time in Class 3. So, once again, really, really good running. Aiden Ebalski of Jackson, he gets the season best 4:31 in the 1600, and then Kenyon Kelpie wins the 3200 at 9:43.43. Another Notre Dame boy who's running really, really well is Trenton Powell in the hurdles, 110 and 300 hurdles. I mean, here at Jackson, he gets second in the 110. He runs 14.97, his first time going sub 15 in the 110s. That's the number 3 time in Class 3. And then he PR'd again in the 300 hurdles. He goes 39.66, coming in second as well in the 300 hurdles. So, really, really good showing here by Trenton. He's a kid who's going to be dangerous at the state meet as well. So I'm excited to see what he can progress to. In relays, it was kind of all Jackson there that I want to talk about. They run the 5th fastest 4x1 in the state in Class 5 this year. They had Barrett Reagan, Blayne Reagan, Memphis Maddox, Jalen Hampton in there. Another keep kind of experimenting with that 4x1. They've got dudes. I mentioned Memphis and Jalen. Ryan Larry looks really good early in the year. They got a few more kids. They got some kids that can really run in the sprints. Brock Reagan, another Reagan, get all the Reagans in. Then they also ran the 10th fastest 4x8 in Class 5 as well. That was Nebalski, Reese, Carter Sander, and Kenyon Kelpie. In high jump, another guy, I mentioned Ryan Larry. He's a good runner, but he's known as a jumper. He won both the high and the long jump here at Jackson, and he jumped 6'3.5". I believe his PR right now is 6'4 3/4. And then he also had a PR in the long jump going over 22 feet, 22.1 inch. On the girls' side, he had a few nice runs. Beckley Getz at Jackson won it. She's somebody that's really been impressive. In the 800, or that was in the 100, she ran 12.85. She's since dropped that number down even further. In the 800, Hallie King at Jackson, a freshman, ran a PR 2:22, which at the time was the 6th fastest in the state in Class 5. In the 100 hurdles, Cadence Turner of Saxony, rounding into form. Every meet, you look at her numbers, the time's just dropping and dropping and dropping. She goes 16.90, which is a big PR over there at Jackson. At the time, it was the 7th fastest in Class 2 this season. Just another young name to know over there for the Crusaders. In the 4x8, the Notre Dame girls ran the fastest time in Class 3 by 7 seconds in the 4x8 at 10 minutes, 11:05. Unbelievable. Triple jump, another Notre Damer, Claire Fouch. She wins 37 feet 5 inches in the triple, is number 2 in the state and also number 2 all time at Notre Dame, which if you know anything about Notre Dame's jumpers, they had somebody by the name of Riley Berger who was otherworldly in the jumps. She's the only person keeping Claire Fouch from being the longest triple jumper in Notre Dame history. Now, she has that record by, I think, like 3 feet over Claire, but who cares? Discus and javelin, Kat Ellefson of Jackson wins both. Her javelin throw put her 4th in Class 5. Her discus throw put her 10th in Class 5. So she's somebody who's gotten a lot stronger. She's looking really, really good. And then both Jackson teams, or they split up. The boys went over to Eureka. The girls went to Webster Groves. I mentioned Beckley Getz, somebody I've been impressed with. She got first in the 100. So close to going sub 60. a minute .03. It's a PR in the 400. Hallie King, who's a good 800 runner. I talked about she ran 2:22 in the last meet. She runs 1:01.69 in the 400, which is a PR, and she PR'd in the 1600, 5:27. So she's running really well, only a ninth grader. Kendall Leland PR'd in the 100 hurdles and the discus. Shout out to Anna Knippen, 106 feet, 7 inches, PR. Also got second in shot put, so shout out to her. Over on the boys' side, Bryson Wessel, season best there in the discus, 162 feet, 1 inch. Ryan Larry won the high jump. Kenyon Kelpie got second, PR'd 4:29 in the 16. And Blayne Reagan ran his first 200 of the season, 22:02. Obviously, a kid that can, I believe, eventually push himself to go faster. So I'm excited to see where he ends up as he keeps, like I said, rounding into form. He's far away from being, peak form right now. But like I said, there's somebody else with those same initials that are running really good right now. Over at Cape Central, they hosted their own invitational. Saxony and Cape were both there. For the Tigers, they put up some show-stopping performances. Breijon Clemons ran 22:33, and then Marshawn Pierce ran 22:35. Both those PRs come 1-2 in the 200. Nashawn Davis from Saxony, he PR'd in the 110 hurdles. He is technically the reigning 110 hurdle champion in the SEMO conference. He runs 15:11 to pick up a PR there. Cape Central, their 4x1 team set a school record, 42:73. And then something I was really excited to see, Isaiah Husky, who is a beast of a thrower for the Tigers. He came back. He had his first throw of the season post, I want to say ACL, meniscus, all kinds of knee issues. He got banged up really bad, had the big knee injury in football season way back. I think it was before the Cape Jackson game. So it's been a long time. He's been out for a long time. He is a big time thrower. He comes out, throws 55 4 3/4 immediately. So pretty good day. Pretty good day. Jamie Adams, another Cape kid, only a ninth grader. He goes over 50 feet in the shot put. And then finally, in the boys' side, Kent Sheridan, really good vaulter. He has a season best 15 feet, 7 inches there in the pole vault. And on the girls' side, at the time, Taraji Riley set a new school record, 11:80, and a PR. And then she also PR'd and set a school record in the long jump, 18 feet, 1.5 inches. Taraji Riley, look out. That is a potential state champion you are looking at there in the 100. So, as I said, if you get a chance to watch her, take that opportunity. Up north, Notre Dame went to the very fun all-Catholic invitational. So, every private school in St. Louis, Notre Dame, others, people, a couple of Illinois teams, if I remember right. But you get all the Metro Catholic teams, so your Chaminades, your DeSmets, your CBCs. On the girls' side, you get, Cor Jesus, St. Joe's, other saints, I'm sure. And Notre Dame performed really well, boys and girls. A couple of standout performances. Dylan Newman in the 2 got second, 22:76. In the 1600, Aiden Morris, I mentioned he's coming back, hasn't run much early in the year. Now he's rounding into form. He goes 4:24 in the 1600. Season best, number 2 in Class 3 for Aiden. So shout out to him. And then Jackson Jones gets a season best in the 3200. Jesse Iwuchukwu on the girls' side wins in the 200 meters, season best 26:07. And then Lily Coy, senior, who I wanted to mention as well, she gets 6th in the 1600, but she sets a PR 5:23. Everybody shout out to Lily. She signed to go to West Point. So really, really cool opportunity. Her and Grayson Maurer, one of her track and field teammates and classmates at Notre Dame, both of them signed with Army, go to West Point. So super, super cool. Really, really cool accomplishment. Takes this very special, athlete and student to be able to pull off something like that. So the fact that they've got 2 girls who are unbelievable athletes and apparently unbelievable students going to West Point is very, very neat to see. So shout out to both of those girls. I think I mentioned Grayson back when it happened, but just saw Lily sign not too long ago. So congrats to her. We've got a few track meets that happened this past week. I mean, there was some very, very, very big time showings over at the, what's it called? The Henley Holmes meet, Parkway. They had a 2-day meet. So it was a nice kind of get ready or kind of feel out what it's going to be like whenever you get to the state levels. Because, you qualify one day in the prelims and the next day you go run the finals a lot of times. So this was a good opportunity for these runners to kind of get a feel for that. And, man, they put up some crazy times over there. And I will start with the 100 meters. You had, in the finals, like I said, you had to qualify to get to the finals in this. I think they had 5 different heats, maybe more. You had Barrett and Blayne Reagan and Breijon Clemons of Cape Central. And they go 1, 2, 3. Barrett Reagan sets a PR. And now a state number 1 in the 400 in the 100 of 10:44. 10:44. That's insane. Insane. Then in second place, Blayne Reagan, PR 10:68 in the 100. Unbelievable. Then in third place, Cape Central's Breijon Clemons, really good football player, not a bad basketball player. Sets a PR and a school 100-meter record of 10:79 in the 100. Reagan Clemons, 10:44, 10:68, 10:79. Unbelievable running by those three. I mean, blown away, dude. Those three dominated the day. They looked unbelievable, and they have now, all of them are now people you got to watch out for in the state finals. So very, very exciting day. The Reagans made an appearance once again, as did Clemons. But Clemons did not run the 200. He actually finished in the prelims with the fastest time, 22:40. I'm not sure why. I haven't asked around, but did not start in the finals there. So we just had 7 runners in the finals. And Barrett Reagan gets first with a 21.96 in a headwind. And then 22:04 for Blayne Reagan in that same win. So a tough day with the elements a little bit. They did have the wind at their back in the 100. Still wind legal, though, 1.4 meters a second. So as long as it's under 2, it's legal. Shout out to them, man. 10:44. Crazy. And then we had the 400. Once again, like I said, very windy conditions. So half the time you're running head first into the wind. You had Barrett Reagan and Blayne Reagan there for the Indians running, and that is how they finished, 1-2. Barrett gets first. He sets another PR in the 400, 47.83. Huge number by him, 47.83. And then Blayne comes in at 48.74. So, I mean, this is a fast day at the track. They were the only two under 50. So it was genuinely just a race between the two brothers there at the front. But, yeah, big-time day out of Barrett, man. 47.83 after running 10:44. Wow. Kid can fly. And just a heck of a year, man. Just a heck of a year for him so far, obviously. Still got a lot of time left. Still a lot of season left, and both of them by the end of the year, man, they're going to be pressing to see who can come away maybe with the gold medal at the state finals. So be on the lookout for that. I am now filibustering to switch over to my phone because whatever reason the website is shutting down on me. So the other big notable thing that happened, I talked about it earlier. Taraji Riley the week before set a school record and set a PR. In the 100 meters, she ran 11:80 over there in the 100 meters at home. Well, up in St. Louis, she went 11:68. 11:68 for the sophomore, Taraji Riley. School record. Number 1 in the state of Missouri across all classes for girls. beat out a really, really talented runner in Justice Sanders. Also, shout out to Beckley Getz. She got third place, PR 2:55. But Taraji Riley, 11:68, only a sophomore. Unbelievable. So she has just set herself apart. She has put herself at the forefront of a lot of conversations about the state finals. So shout out to her. She is going to be a problem moving forward. Then she did not run the finals of the 200. I don't know why. Not my place. But in the prelim, she ran 25:56. That would have been good enough for second place. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Couldn't tell you. But she ran her tail off over there, man. 11:68 is incredible. So shout out to Taraji Riley. Outside of that, looking over on the girls' side, not a lot of high finishers. It was a very, very tough meet, super competitive meet. But one girl I do want to highlight, Kendall Leland of Jackson. I talked about she had set a PR at the Jackson meet. She went up to St. Louis, like a lot of these kids from around here, set a new PR, 17:07, to come in second in the 100-meter hurdles. Continued to run well. Came in fifth, but it was a season's best, 49:61 in the 300 hurdles, dropping back over to the 100 hurdles right behind Kendall Leland. Lily Williams from Cape Central, she runs 17:08, so a 1/100th of a second separating them. She set a PR. Also, Jackson's Bella Ivy came in fifth place. So really, really good hurdling by our local runners there. Performing really, really well. So shout out to them, man. It's what you expect. Like I said, this time of year, people are really closing in, kind of ramping up for state runs. Speaking of that, I mentioned Kat Ellefson from Jackson, throwing really well across all disciplines. She set a new PR in the shot put, 35.5 1/4. That put her third in the meet in the shot put. She also got third in the discus with another PR of 120 3 inches. And then in the javelin, she gets second place. Not a PR, but she gets second place, 133 even. So shout out to her, man. Kat Ellefson, really, really good thrower. Performing really, really well once again. Not too much of a surprise in my opinion. On the boys' side, Grant Osball comes in second. Max Pardon of Cape Central comes in third. It's a really, really good showing for them. And the boys' high jump, Jaden Johnson, a kid I said look out for early in the year because I know this kid's a special athlete. I saw him jump a lot on the basketball court. I saw what he can do up there. He wins the meet, sets a PR, 6 feet 4 3/4 inches in the high jump. So he's jumping really well at the right time. Kent Sheridan, not a surprise, wins the pole vault, 15.3, kind of what you expect anytime he lines up in the pole vault anywhere in the state of Missouri, that he's going to maybe be at the very, very top of the leaderboard. A couple of Indians go over 161 in the discus. Bryson Wessel comes in second, 161.4. Gavin Shin, 161.1, set a PR. And then Jamie Adams, 155.1, set a PR as well. So a lot of really good performances. Isaiah Husky got third in the shot put, in the shot put. He threw 53 feet. Yeah, a really, really good day. I mean, the Henley Holmes meet, invitational, whatever it might be, super tough competition across, most disciplines. Cape Central winning relays, came in first in the 4x2 on the boys' side, second in the 4x1. I think there was one more name I wanted to point out. It was, Gage Parker. Gage Parker of Jackson, 300 hurdles. Really good running back, by the way. Gonna blow some people up this season on the field. He runs a PR of 40.78, which tied the school record at Jackson in 300 hurdles. So only a sophomore, super, super talented athlete. So shout out to Gage. Now, let's get into what's going on this week. We've got some interesting matchups. Some that are going on right now as I speak, so we're not going to cover those right now. But looking ahead, what we have going on this week. Tuesday, Notre Dame goes on the road in baseball. We're going to start back on baseball. Notre Dame goes on the road to St. Pius. Saxony will be hosting Oran. So a couple of good matchups. Tuesday, Wednesday, Notre Dame back out. They're on the road to Kennett. So you go up to St. Pius, Festus, all the way down to Boot Heel to Kennett. A lot of bus rides there for the Notre Dame boys. And then Saxony, they go short road trip over to Oak Ridge in what is a winnable matchup, I would say, for the Crusaders. Thursday, we got 3 ball games. One of them, an inter-city rivalry. Cape and Notre Dame will be taking on each other. This one will be at Cape Central Thursday the 23rd. So go check it out. But you got another good one. Jackson taking on Poplar Bluff. It'll be at Jackson. Poplar Bluff now in the rankings in Class 5, top 10 in the state. They're the real deal. Another big-time tough matchup over at Saxony. They will be hosting Bell City, a traditional power there in boys baseball. Friday, no rest for the weary. All these teams back out here, back at it again. Jackson is going on the road. They go up to Arnold. They'll be taking on Fox. Notre Dame goes short trip south. They will be taking on Kelly. And then Cape Central, they host their Woodbat Classic on the 24th and 25th. The 3 opponents for the Tigers is Pattonville on the 24th. And then on the 25th, play 2 games, one against St. Pius, the other against Clayton. So should be some good matchups there. Interested? See if there's any, how the game feels with the wood bat. See if it's any different. So very, very cool opportunity there. Very fun event. I went last year, had a good time out at Cape Central when the weather's nice. Always a good day to watch baseball. And then Saturday, yours truly, I will be on the call for Jackson at SLU. I am driving to St. Louis University High School. I'm taking former Indian player, former Fontbonne baseball player before they shut down the school because he went there, and current Woodland head coach, Landon Watkins, with me to call the game at SLU. Doubleheader, wake up, get your donuts, get your chicken minis, get whatever it is you get, your coffee, and listen to us on 104.7 The Bridge, 10 a.m. Jackson at SLU, 10 a.m., followed by the next one 30 minutes later. So get on the radio, make the trip. There's a top 10 matchup in Class 6, SLU, the real deal. They got a kid going to Oklahoma. They're nice. They're talented. Nice field. Should be a great time. So check it out. Looking at boys golf, not much here early in the week. I don't have results yet. Jackson hosted, I think, 17 teams. Everybody from around here. I know Saxony, Notre Dame, Cape, and Jackson obviously was there at Kimberlin. So we'll get those results rolled out next week for you guys. Over in girls soccer, pretty busy slate, especially the back half of the week. But Tuesday, Cape is hosting Farmington, and Saxony is on the road at Poplar Bluff. And Wednesday, Jackson will be hosting, I believe, district opponent Oakville. It'll be at the Indians over at the junior high. And then, no. I lied. That game is at Oakville, excuse me. So they go to Oakville Wednesday. They come back home Thursday for a measuring stick game, we'll call it. They will be hosting Corhay Zoo Academy. Some of you might have heard of Corhay Zoo. You probably heard about them in basketball. You might have heard about them in volleyball. Let me tell you, they're better at soccer than they are at either of those sports. Probably either of those sports combined, because at soccer, they are one of the best teams in America. Yes, in America. I say that because, well, there's apparently national rankings of high school teams, and they were, I want to say, number 5 in the country. It's insane to say. A big reason they are that high is because they have a girl. I might have mentioned her back in the day, talking about when Jackson matched up with them in basketball. They have a girl named Maddie DiMaria on their team. Maddie DiMaria, and this is not an exaggeration, is probably the best American soccer player, like, in the country her age. She's probably the best high school American soccer player in the country. She's a junior. She is the back-to-back Missouri Player of the Year. So she has won 2 straight Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Missouri as a freshman and a sophomore. She won the National Gatorade Player of the Year last year as a sophomore. She won it as a sophomore. So, I mean, look, when I talk about people being the real deal, she is the realest deal you can ever see. So, like, I played against Jason Tatum. He was a 5-star. He's now led a team to an NBA championship. This is the level we're talking about with Maddie DiMaria. She's played on the 17U U.S. team. She's traveled all over the country to play the sport, all over the world to play the sport of soccer already. She's only a junior in high school. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to see a special talent, I mean, her dad was a professional soccer player, by the way. If you want to see a special talent, get out there to Jackson to watch this ball game. I was a little bit filibustering here to pull up some stats. I believe the stats are somewhat correct. I think they've got them at 9 games played thus far. Maddie DiMaria has 22 goals, 6 assists on the season. So through 9 games, 22 goals. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. So that'll be Thursday. Jackson will be hosting the reigning state champs, Corre Zoo, Thursday. So go check it out. Also, Corre Zoo's in their district. So it's maybe a preview of a district semifinal or something like that. So go check it out. Once again, I'm really high on this Jackson team, but if they can compete with Corre Zoo, my how impressed I am will go through the roof. So we'll see how it goes. Saxony also that Thursday will be taking on St. Pius at St. Pius. Is that a Lutheran battle right there, maybe? I don't know. Catholic? Is this a Martin Luther 95 Theses battle? Look, I told you last time. Don't come to me for theology. And then finally, Friday, closing out the week, you've got Cape at Hillsborough. Should be a tough matchup. Then Notre Dame is playing 2 games in one day in soccer. That's hard and also sounds terrible. Now, I'm also like out of shape and old now, but they're playing 2 games in one day. They're taking on Carl Junction and Hickman, both on Friday. So good luck to the Notre Dame girls. That is a gauntlet. Jumping into boys tennis, we've got a pretty busy week this week. Tuesday, Jackson will be hosting Windsor. Wednesday, Cape goes to Melville. Shout out Tony D's. And Notre Dame goes to Poplar Bluff. Tough Poplar Bluff team. One of the better ones in southeast Missouri, so should be one to watch. Cape then is hosting senior night the 23rd against Dexter. Then Cape and Jackson Friday will be participating in the Cape Doubles Tournament, so that'll be cool to watch. Go check it out. Go check out some local boys tennis. And while Notre Dame, they go on the road to Arcadia Valley. Then finally, Saturday, after hosting the doubles tournament, Cape goes up to St. Louis. They'll be a part of the Kirkwood Invitational. Looking at boys volleyball, you've got a few matchups this week. Boys volleyball, Saxony is taking on St. Pius on Tuesday. Wednesday, Notre Dame is taking on Westminster. And then Friday, it looks like over at Notre Dame, there'll be a couple of games hosted there. Both Notre Dame and Saxony will be taking on Lutheran South this Friday at Notre Dame. I think I mentioned earlier in the show, Lutheran South is really good. They're like 20-2 on the season. They are one of the best teams in the state. So it's a big opportunity. If either team's able to pull off a win there, that'll be a huge upset and a really, really impressive win. And finally, track and field. Running tonight. Tuesday, Notre Dame goes to Sykeston for the Sykeston Invitational. And then finally, Friday, not a lot going on this week, track and field-wise. Jackson and Notre Dame go up north to Festus for the Tigertown Invitational. So I think that pretty much does it. A lot of action. Obviously, I talked a lot about what has caught us up now to the present day. So we've got a lot going on this week. Just go to the Misha website. Look at all these schools' schedules. See what they're doing. See where they're at. I said it, man. You know, not to scare anybody, but 1 month from now, most a lot of sports are going to be over with. So we don't have a lot of time left. There's still some there's a lot of meat on the bone still. There's some good matchups remaining. I'm on Jackson girls schedule. Right now they're after this week, they'll still have 6 regular season games left. Only 1 at home. So, but teams have more going on this regular season. So we're not trying to fear monger you yet, but at the same time, there's not a lot left. So get out there. I always tell you, go watch some of these games. It's good when the weather's good. Spring is the best. You get to go out, watch some sports. It's 77 degrees. It's best. It's nice breeze, all that stuff. So go out, go watch some of these kids perform, see what the coaches and them have been up to. They deserve that much at least to kind of feel some appreciation. A couple other housekeeping, anything else? I mentioned it. If you want to listen to me more, shout out to you. But if you want to listen to me more, I said it this Saturday, starting at 10 a.m., hopefully, if I'm awake. I'll be on the radio calling Jackson at SLU. It's going to be a big-time matchup, man. It's really, really good baseball. Jackson beat SLU 8-7, I believe, their first matchup. It's going to be a tough day. That's a really, really good team playing on their home field, so Jackson's going to have their hands full. But listen to your boy, 104.7 The Bridge. I'll be there on the call. First time ever doing baseball. So if you are listening, maybe just kidding. Don't listen. No, listen. I'm open to any positive reinforcement here of what I can do better. Constructive criticism. That's the word I'm looking for. Any constructive criticism I'm open to. So it's a doubleheader. So get your criticism in the first game. Let me know what I need to change. What I need to do better. Finally, I mentioned it. Lily Coy signing with Army. Very, very cool for her. Shout out to Lily Coy. Big time accomplishment. And then the one kid I talk about all the time, Cameron Williams, Cape Central graduate. Played a couple of years in JUCO. Played this year at the Division I level at Portland. He's now in the transfer portal. He's hearing from some different teams. He went on a visit the other day to Kent State, I believe, over in the MAC. So could be a destination for him. I saw there's a few teams interested. One of them could be the SEMO Redhawks. So that'd be very, very cool if that is the case. But like I said, local kids, support them wherever they go. Very, very cool opportunity for him. He's going to be playing Division I basketball. A couple more local kids. New manager Jadis Jones is in the portal. Haven't heard about where he's going yet. Dontrez Williams of Sykes is in the portal. So check it out. See, follow along on social media. See where they go. I know Dontrez has some big time interests, so I'll be following along there. But outside of that, if you want to find me, you can. Obviously, if you're listening, you know where to find me. You guys. I appreciate all the listens online, all the likes, subscribers, all that stuff is very, very cool. But like I always say, I don't do it for any self-glorification, anything like that. I have made $0. I probably lost dollars doing this, I guess, in my life. And all I do it is because I like, I like the product, and I also like promoting these kids, getting them more shine, giving them the exposure they deserve for all their hard work. You can find us, like I said, wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music. If you want it anywhere else, just tell me. I can probably put it there. So just hit me up. You can always watch these videos. I record everything. They're going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on YouTube. So check it out there. And like I said, always feel free. Slide in the DMs. Tell me anything I got wrong. If you want to give me weekly updates on your team or your kids' team or whoever, I'm always accepting of that information as well. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Can't wait to keep this season going here. Like I said, we're in the last month or so. Get out, go watch some ball. I appreciate each of you watching. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.